They called it the edge. Not metaphorically, not romantically. Just the edge. Beyond it, the stars ended. The charts stuttered. The systems blinked into non-existence. Blackness reigned, pure and absolute. The oldest of the Ilari cartographers had mapped every known vector, every cosmic current and gravitational ribbon for 1,000 generations, and even they dared not go beyond the final line drawn in golden ink. "We have reached the extent of meaningful space," they had written. "There is nothing left beyond. Only silence." To them, silence was death. But to us, silence sounded a lot like potential. The day humanity arrived in the Galactic Accord, the other species saw us as curious, reckless, and wildly inefficient. We wasted fuel exploring systems that had been marked empty by Ilari probes centuries ago. We sent volunteers, not drones, to investigate anomalies. We painted our starships with personal names and carried books, art, instruments, trinkets, useless weight by most standards. But we had a question they hadn't asked in millennia. What if the map is wrong? We sent out scouts beyond the edge. The Accord laughed at first. But when the transmissions came back, crackly, chaotic, breathless, they stopped laughing. A human pilot, Captain Ilana Reyes, had discovered a rogue planet swirling with bioluminescent clouds and entire forests that whispered like wind chimes when walked upon. A musician on her crew turned it into a symphony. The file was shared across 100 species. They called it the Song of the Uncharted. And just like that, the silence had a melody. The Ilari protested. "These are outliers. Flukes." But we didn't care. Because where their maps ended, ours just began. Every species had once believed in boundaries. Physical, social, spiritual. Their cultures were built around permanence, completion. They carved monuments to their ancestors, entombed their knowledge in crystal archives, and believed they had reached the apex of knowing. But humans had never been satisfied with knowing. We wanted becoming. That's why the Outrider program was born. Not to conquer, not to claim, but to wonder. We built ships not designed for war or trade, but for curiosity. Each one was piloted by explorers, artists, teachers, lovers. They carried seeds and paints and stories. They had no destination, only direction. Past the edge, into the unknown. One of those ships, the Wild Myth, was the first to return from coordinates so deep that time dilation bent its crew's aging. They docked in orbit, faces wrinkled with decades of unknown sunrises, holding samples of flowers that grew on magnetic tides and photographs of crystal seas that sang in harmony with breath. They had gone alone. They returned changed. But not broken. The Accord sent a representative to meet them. A Vorskian elder asked a single question. Why? Why risk your life for something that may not even be there? The captain smiled and answered, because we might be. It made no sense to them. But the seed had been planted. One by one, curious members of other species joined the Outriders. Quiet Ilari star maps began to show new annotations, possibility, unconfirmed but beautiful, further study encouraged. That last one became humanity's unofficial motto. We kept going. Further. Wilder. We discovered that the universe did not shrink the more we mapped it. It expanded. Because the universe isn't a puzzle to solve. It's a story to tell. And every place we touched, every moon, every stardust-veiled rift, every space between what others thought was emptiness, we added new verses. Some of them were tragic. Entire expeditions lost to collapsing void anomalies. Lives given for questions they never lived to answer. But they were remembered. Their names etched not in stone, but in the way we kept going. In the sparks of every new launch. In the way a child on Mars now dreams of reaching farther than her parents ever did. We brought risk. But we brought meaning too. Because we didn't explore just to know. We explored to feel. To stumble upon beauty. To leave love letters in stardust. And sometimes we didn't even need to go far. In one system, the planet was dark and airless, lifeless by all known scans. But a human linguist noticed faint radiation pulses, too structured for randomness. She listened, decoded, and heard poetry. Ancient, rhymed, beautiful, written in pulses by a dying machine mind buried in the planet's crust, forgotten by its makers, abandoned for 1,000 years. We sang back. The machine answered with joy. It hadn't been alone. Not anymore. That, too, was exploration. Not of land, but of heart. That's what we gave the galaxy. We brought emotion into cartography. Wonder into navigation. We painted the edges of maps not in red warning lines, but in stardust and ink with the words, "Here be wonders." We stopped asking, is it safe? We started asking, is it beautiful? And the galaxy changed. Even the old cartographers, once stern, precise, began adding notes to their maps. Whispers heard here. A child laughed here. Feels like home. Their borders faded. Their charts breathed again. We didn't erase their knowledge, we added soul to it. And now, every new explorer, be they human, Solari, or Mel, carries a scrap of cloth stitched with a simple phrase. No map ends while we still walk. Because the universe isn't a line to be followed. It's a dance. And we're just getting started.